What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Yesterday, Nintendo announced a surprise Switch 2 enhancement for one of their most successful releases during the Switch 1 generation. And while that is paid, there's also a free update that's coming to the game, and there's a lot of excitement, but also a lot of questions as to when a new entry for the franchise would happen. We'll go over all of that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about some leaked specs for that RGDS, the one from Imminent, and unfortunately the processor, the screen resolution, all of this has now brought up a bunch of different concerns as to the quality of this device, and we'll also be taking a look at what some would call the unthinkable announcement. One from Valve, and yes, there's a 3 in there, and now there's a ton of smoke around the potential of this actually being a thing, but we'll go over all of that here today. So if you guys enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if new here to the Small Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. We are here every weekday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, keeping you guys up to date on the world of gaming. So if you don't see a notification, just understand there's probably a video here for you in the morning to check out. And we're going to start today, another update for that Amazon Game Studio situation. There's a bunch of layoffs, some canceled projects, and it wasn't looking great from the Amazon side when it comes to gaming. And now, unfortunately, it looks like that Lord of the Rings MMO, the second shot at it, is also canceled. This we can see, it's posted. This is over on Rock Paper Shotgun, who noticed that there was an engineer in question, they say is Ashley Amrine. They announced that she had lost her job on LinkedIn, and saying, "This morning I was part of the layoffs at Amazon Games alongside my incredibly talented peers on New World and our fledgling Lord of the Rings game," saying we would have loved it. So yeah, Lord of the Rings fans can't catch a break on that one. Again, this is like the second attempt at this Lord of the Rings MMO, and it seems to have not made the cut when it comes to a lot of these Amazon Games layoffs and them kind of being almost like a Google situation where Google realized how hard it was to make games with Stadia, and they completely pulled back. With Amazon, at least things like Tomb Raider that they are doing development with publishing and stuff on, that is still happening, but it seems like just their wide sweeping push for games is kind of being pulled back a bit, and we know in favor of games that are a bit quicker to turn around and ones that would involve, I guess, even AI for development. But that's where with Amazon, and unfortunately, that Lord of the Rings MMO looks to be no more. Also, we do have that Mortal Kombat Legacy collection that's out on a bunch of different platforms, and while I was looking at it on the Switch 2 because it's all in the cartridge, which is really cool, I did see that reviews were going live, and the PlayStation 5, you can see here, has the most reviews. It's sitting at an 89. All right, and while that's only on 10 reviews right now, for the most part, these reviews all look really, really happy with it. So Noisy Pixel give it a perfect score, saying it's a masterful celebration of the franchise's early years, delivering an unrivaled retro compilation that blends high-quality preservation with fan service. I mean, the lowest score that I saw here was an 80. We can see Shaq News saying with classic games and a heartfelt documentary. Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection continues to show that there's nobody better at this type of compilation than Digital Eclipse. Whether you're an old school fighter or want to teach your kids what Mortal Kombat looked like in the old days, this is the best way to do it. Very controversial back then to show your kids that. It probably still is, but either way, obviously for longtime fans of Mortal Kombat, this is a no-brainer. You're probably picking it up, but if you've ever been curious about the franchise, also a good spot to start, especially with all of the fun documentaries and history that they've baked into the game. Definitely a great collection to pick up, and I'll be grabbing it immediately. Like I said, I think I'm gonna get it physically on the Switch 2, and we'll see if maybe I'll even grab it digitally on the PS5 when it goes on sale later on. Oh, and we have another entry that's been announced for the GOG Preservation Program. This we can see over on their account. They say Resident Evil HD Remaster and Resident Evil 0 are now available fully DRM free on our platform and are also joining the GOG Preservation Program. Now, looking through some of the notes here, it just appears that they're set up for compatibility with Windows 11, for example, and more current builds, we'll say, for PC, and then any resolution fixes that they would have to do, or aspect ratio. So really, it's just set up so that if you want to load it up on your current PC, you can, and DRM free is one of course, the big benefits of shopping with GOG. But really cool to see that most of the older Resident Evil games are just available there. They have an entire bundle for it. Otherwise, when they add these games in, they go on sale, and many of them end up being $2 or $3. So that GOG Preservation Program keeps delivering with some of these awesome games. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo and a surprise Switch 2 enhancement, and that's for Animal Crossing New Horizons. And it's been a while since Nintendo has really said anything about this game. In fact, this would be the equivalent of logging into Animal Crossing New Horizons if your villagers haven't seen you in a couple of years. So Nintendo probably has a bunch of weeds they have to pull, but they didn't come empty-handed. We can see this over on their website. They detail all the different features here, but we'll start at the top where they say it sails ashore with a Switch 2 edition and free content update on January 15th. So we're talking, we're getting into 2026. Would be after the holiday season for all this, but might be plenty of people maybe who just got a Switch 2 and want to go back and check out Animal Crossing New Horizons. Now they go over the features here. We'll start with the Switch 2 enhancements, and it is important to note the Switch 2 edition is $65, or if you have the game already, it is a $5 upgrade fee. So it's not free, which is interesting because we'll take a look at some of the improvements here. Kind of feels like it could have been free, but either way, improved resolution. So we're looking at 4K in TV mode. They showed a little comparison there of the character side by side, and it looks less crunchy on the Switch 2 side. I get that. Mouse controls, though, with the right Joy-Con 2 controller, it lets you decorate indoors, create custom designs, and even compose handwritten bulletin board messages. And in a game like this, where heavy focus on customizing and moving things around in different rooms, that fits right in and would be very convenient. You can also locate residents by calling their names with the in-game megaphone item, and that's using the built-in Switch 2 microphone, some shades to Hey You Pikachu, I guess. They also have 12-player sessions for online games, so you can jump online with 11 other people, and they even have the camera, and I am curious how many people are still using that right now. But this would be, I guess, a good reason to use it, since it would then put your face above your character as you're running around, so you'd be able to see your friends while you're on the different islands and stuff. And the big thing about Animal Crossing New Horizons, back when it came out, I mean, it was during the pandemic and everyone was inside. It did technically give people kind of a way to socialize a bit within a video game like this. So the camera feature here would have gone crazy back then. I think they would have sold a ton of cameras just for that. But as I mentioned, this will be on sale and available January 15th, along with a free update. So if you're not interested in any of that stuff for the Switch 2, you don't have to technically buy it for the $5. You could just keep playing it through backwards compatibility, or if you don't have a Switch 2, you could take advantage of the free update. So they have a resort hotels grand opening. All right, so there's a big hotel you can go check out over on the pier, and it's run by Captain's family. And apparently you bring in guests from off the island. You'll be able to help out by decorating guest rooms and more. You can have Resetti come in. Is kind of a convenience thing, but they'll tidy up your island. So rather than, I guess, having to do all that yourself, Resetti's got you covered there, and they upgrade your home storage to hold up to 9,000 items, store trees, shrubs, flowers, everything like that. They also showed off Slumber Island, which apparently with an NSO membership, you can design and save up to 3 islands, kind of like a blank canvas thing where you and a bunch of friends can get together and kind of craft and mold the island how you want. Kind of reminiscent of maybe a little bit of Minecraft in there, where you create almost your own server and people join in and go crazy destroying everything or building stuff there. And then they did have some collaborations that they wanted to point out, like Ultra Hand from The Legend of Zelda. There's some Nintendo consoles in-game to add some classic flair to your island. So, I mean, there's just some fun stuff. It's a free update, that part, so that's pretty cool. The $5 thing, though, has multiple reactions online. One side is, oh, it's only $5. That's not bad. The other side is, it's only $5. Why do they need to charge that at all? Well, I mean, the obvious thing is money. I mean, look, Animal Crossing New Horizons sold more than 40 million copies. So even just charging $5 for the Switch 2 enhancement as people upgrade to a Switch 2 and they want to go back and use the additional capabilities of the system for Animal Crossing New Horizons, to them it's like, it's $5. Whatever. It is kind of that level where it's like, just sure, whatever. So with that in mind, you have potentially 40 million people out there who have copies that may throw $5 in. Even a small percentage of that, still a lot of money. So that's the obvious thing. There's also a situation in Japan that's been brought up a couple of times by other developers, like Stardew Valley as an example, where apparently in Japan, you can't make these upgrades free. It's some weird thing there, and that is something that has been pointed out. I don't necessarily know if it would affect Nintendo, because I think if they wanted to make it free, they could. Or what would have made more sense, probably just add it into NSO. So if you have Nintendo Switch Online, then you just you just get this upgrade. Kind of like what they did with The Legend of Zelda, or they did with Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, just ways to add, hey, more value to that subscription service. But at least as it stands now, Animal Crossing New Horizons getting an update for the Switch 2 and a big free update in January. The question then becomes, where's the next Animal Crossing? Well, this does kind of feel like this is going to be the Animal Crossing still for a while now. Although you could look at it as, hey guys, remember Animal Crossing? You want to make sure you look at it again here, because in another year, you're going to see the big new Animal Crossing. Very possible. I would right now look towards maybe 2027 or 2028 for the next big Animal Crossing, but we'll see if maybe they want to announce a little sooner and just say, hey, it's coming at some point. For now, though, look towards January for the Switch 2 edition for Animal Crossing New Horizons and the free update, even if you're on just the Switch 1. Next up, let's talk about what's become, the big legendary, almost internet meme of Half-Life 3. And this is actually something that's been going around for a little while now, definitely more than a year or so, with development almost being observed from the outside as Valve has been working on this game, something Half-Life related. And here's the thing, now some are pointing out, or at least bringing up the idea that Valve is working on a trailer for this game right now. This we can see. This is over on Insider Gaming, saying the latest update regarding Valve's work on Half-Life 3's trailer comes from Tyler McVicker's latest HLX Files episode on YouTube, saying that the current rumor that's going around is that work on the trailer is occurring. He adds that Valve's approach to trailers is very different from publicly owned AAA studios' approach, as in, well, Valve would be showing the trailer and then this Half-Life game, again, Half-Life 3 as it's being dubbed, would launch pretty close to it. As in, it's not going to be something where it's, oh, we'll show you this, and then in a couple years it'll come out. Be closer, more similar to Half-Life Alyx, where we saw it, and then it was out pretty quick after that. So now, if we believe that there's a trailer in development, of course, you're wondering, where would it be announced? Well, right now, people are saying, keep an eye on November. It seems like a guess, as this being presented here, and even just like, oh, it's a rumor, but I will admit, I'm seeing a bit more chatter about this than I was expecting. And it could be because, oh, now we're pointing out that a trailer is being worked on, but I'll just say, even kind of behind the scenes, some talk, it's not nothing. So that's the thing that was catching me off guard a bit here. So I don't know if Half-Life 3 is getting announced anytime soon, but I might be keeping a closer tabs on a lot of this stuff. I know also some are thinking, oh, maybe the Game Awards. Valve doesn't really need the Game Awards. They could just post it on X. They could put it on Steam. It's like the front page, then a ton of people would see it anyway. But yeah, if Valve has some hardware they want to launch that would be compatible with it, like the Steam Frame thing, there's the controller that's being shown in some of these data mines and data leaks and stuff. It all adds up to having something like a new Half-Life game to launch it with. So all I'm saying is keep an eye out for this, because yeah, maybe we are that close to Half-Life 3 legitimately being announced, and I am curious to see how the internet will react when that happens. Next up, let's talk about that Amberneck RGDS, which I will say, in some of the videos they've shown so far, and even like the renderings, it looks good. The price point being $100 or less certainly has caught a lot of attention, because then you're kind of wading more into that territory of almost just impulse buy, especially when you consider the library of DS games that will be available to you then, and it's still having the similar dual screen form factor. Here's the thing though, we're starting to get more information about this. Like on AliExpress, it seemed like a listing went up that did have a lot of the specifications just listed, and hasn't gone over great. So we can see, for example, this was posted up over on Reddit, and it's just a specification product parameter page, and it does go over the main screens, all right, the CPU and the system. Those are the things that are really being pointed out currently. So the CPU being an RK3568 quad core chip with Android 14. We are indeed right on the line of, can this emulate DS well? Now, they showed it again, and it looked fine. It's off screen, of course. I wouldn't mind seeing some direct capture even at the stated resolution that they have. And take a look at the screens, 4-inch, 640 by 480. So here's the situation with that, okay? We have Android 14 with this RK chipset that's Android 14 might struggle on that one a bit. Maybe when you get into a game, it'll be a bit better there. But the screens themselves, it's you look for like a whole number for in terms of integer scaling here. So for 640 by 480, that's 2.5 times the resolution of the DS. So going by pixels, that could look a little weird, going from the standard or native resolution of the DS up to that. So that's something that's being pointed out and a bit of a concern here. The other thing, there was like an ad that popped up for it, and it was definitely listed for like $110. So there's also just a lot of confusion around this device right now. So I'm hoping that Anbernic is like ready to go legitimately with like full marketing and explanation around a lot of this stuff, just so we can see what we have officially. And either way, I'm gonna be picking this thing up because I have to see what it looks like in person. And of course, we'll be taking it apart and checking out some of the internals. But some of this stuff, I will say, kind of a letdown with what they've shown so far versus what the reality of this situation is behind the scenes with some of the technical specifications. But hey, maybe somehow they pull it off, and in practice, it's a good DS. Like, I wasn't really expecting 3DS when they showed that. I said, that might be kind of borderline. If it's just a really good DS system, plays a lot of those games, I'll be happy with it there. But we'll see whenever they're ready to make the official announcement and hopefully release date and a price point that is under $100. So hopefully we don't have to wait too much longer. And in our last bit of news, let's take another look at those Famitsu sales charts. Now, this would be tracking the second week for Pokemon Legends ZA and kind of the effect around the hardware alongside of it. And we can see this. This is over on install base form with Pokemon Legends ZA at the top for the Switch 1 as expected, but a 78% drop down to 195,849 copies. And then if you look right below it, the Switch 2 version, that dropped 88%, 71,991. Now, because so many sold the week before, people are wondering, oh, was there maybe just stock just sold through, and that's kind of what they have? I mean, it's possible, and it is October. We're finishing up October now. I am curious as we go along through November and then obviously into December, if some of these numbers actually get pumped back up a bit, just based on the holiday, the gift-giving season, that kind of stuff. Right below that, we have Mario Kart World, 35,176. That is quickly approaching 2 million copies sold in Japan alone. Once Upon a Katamari on the Switch 1 debuts at 17,289 copies. Then we have Ninja Gaiden 4 on the PS5, 11,973. Then Ghost of Yote, which did drop 63% down to 6,984. That's still pushing along to 200,000 copies here. Probably will happen in the next few weeks. And we have Persona 3 Reload, kind of a disappointing debut, I feel like, for that on the Switch 2, 6,778. Then we have Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. Then Once Upon a Katamari debuting on the PS5 at 4,596 copies. And then Battlefield 6 rounds out the top 10. Moving over to the hardware, the Switch 2 is at the top, 65,434, quickly climbing to 2.5 million systems sold in Japan already. And again, before the holiday season, it really is a situation of however many systems Nintendo can send there, it's how many it's gonna sell. Then right below it, though, the Switch 1, 25,109 units. I mean, it's pretty impressive that the Switch 1 alongside of the Switch 2 still rolling along to where it has, I mean, 1.2 million units have sold year to date in Japan. That's pretty impressive. Then we have the PS5, 10,503. Then the Xbox Series, which had a pretty significant jump to 991 units, which is, I'm curious. That's the one that stuck out to me. I almost thought it was off and they transposed the number. I'm not sure, but I mean, 991. That's interesting. I don't know if anyone can tell me if there were, like, in Japan, if there was a sale or something on Xboxes, but that's a number that jumps actually there. Then we have the PS4, 15 units. But overall, Pokemon did drop quite significantly and would be now behind Pokemon Legends Arceus in Japan, at least physically. We know the digital split, things have gone more and more digital as we've gone along year over year even, and it's really hard to say outside of Nintendo just telling us raw numbers, which they already have with the Pokemon Company, but we'll really get a good look at how Pokemon Legends ZA did after the holiday season, I think first week of February. Now, next week we should hear from Nintendo for their investor stuff with the previous fiscal quarter, but they've already given us the numbers for Legends ZA anyway. So now we'll just kind of see how things go through Famitsu, especially as we get into the holiday season. But as you figure, the Switch 2 just rolls along, and with Pokemon alongside of some of these other first-party games, should be set up for a pretty good holiday in Japan. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, have you bought anything from the GOG Preservation Program? Okay, 46% don't know what that is, so hey, GOG, you need to do some better marketing. All right, that's first off. But then 31% say no, 22% though say yes. And you know what? I've seen many people in the comments here with this poll, because I'll go through the comments as well on this. Many people are like, yeah, if I can buy from GOG or Steam, I kind of tend to buy from GOG right now because it is DRM free. And then some are like, oh, well, yeah, but Steam is easier to use. That is true. Steam really does have just the hold on people from the platform and how long it's been around and even the ease of use and the features. GOG does have that DRM free part to it, though, that is a big deal. So I do like that they are continuing on with the preservation program despite many people apparently not knowing about it, but that's what you got to do. You got to keep pushing along with GOG, and they have to really keep putting that in people's faces like, hey, look, all these older games, we are bringing it into our preservation program and making it so if you buy it for what times is, I mean, we had Fear on sale at one point for $1, and then you just download it to your PC and you have it. I mean, if you have those kind of games that are, yeah, retro really, but the retro PC market, I kind of feel like people think of retro PC as old point-and-click Sierra games or something, or LucasArts games. It's like, no, if you think about 20 years ago now, was 2005. That's crazy. 2010 was 15 years ago. We're kind of redefining retro as we go along, so you could think of Chaos Theory, Splinter Cell Chaos. That is retro now. That's kind of how we have to start rethinking this. And GOG with their preservation program, I think is actually even getting ahead of things on that point. So definitely something really cool to check into. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Jay Smith, who says, there was a report that came out not too long ago that said a huge amount of Steam games don't make back the $100 fee they paid Steam. I did see this. So this was, I saw this article over on Games Radar, I think you're referring to, saying over 5,000 games released on Steam this year didn't make enough money to recover the $100 fee to put a game on Valve's store. This is from research that was done that estimates this amount. And if you think about it, in 2024, there were almost 19,000 games that released on Steam. So if you divide that up, that's 52 games per day. Yeah, it's going to get very crowded and it's hard to stand out. And in fact, when you go and look at many of those games, we know a lot of the stuff is junk. Many of there's asset flips in there. I'm sure plenty of games, let's be real, they're like developed using AI to slap everything together very quickly. And they're just hoping that maybe something catches on in meme culture, or they do get enough people to buy it so that they end up coming out ahead of that $100 and they do it all over again. And that is the thing. It is very difficult to get noticed outright. So that's like half the battle. But I do think if you at least have a good idea for a game and you spend time making it, like really put the effort in, you can then go around and try to put it in front of people and hopefully it can take off and people can check it out. I mean, at least with social media for X or something, if people see something that looks cool, typically they will at least try to retweet it, or what do we even call it? They'll at least show it to other people. So that is the thing. There are a lot of avenues to get the word out there, but you're right. Very crowded on places like Steam right now. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card. Or maybe you wanted to check out a video where I build this little cheap emulation box that you yourself can actually put together at home. I did that, played some PS2, Xbox, GameCube games, and others on it. I'll leave that right below it. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.